I think you should.
It's the way Leland does it when we go to a truck stop. You just all the way to the ground.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores.
Don't do that, Leland.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1343, July 16th, 2024. 102 degrees on this day in 1926. And it was chilly as 51 degrees on two occasions, 1911 and 1958. We ain't going to be nowhere near 51 today. The kids will be swimming. We're entering a stretch of beautiful, beautiful summer weather. I hope you've been in touch with Aquacide and used their products to maintain a great lake shore and swimming pond. All those products are easy to use. They work quickly. And Aquacide products are registered with both the EPA and DNR. So take your cell phone, go down to the lake, check it out. Might be clear because you've already used Aquacide products, but in the event there's still weeds there and junk and algae and crud, call Aquacide, describe what you're looking at. They'll get you the right products in your swimming area. Will look great all the rest of the summer. Call Aquacide at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquacide.com.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
David Anderson writes, Joe, did you know you recommended JD Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy, in Author's Corner? Dave from Bemidji. Yes, I do remember that. I read it. I enjoyed it. I think his story is one of the most admirable stories we can find.
It's time for Author's Corner with Joe Souchere, and this one is a strike.
Yeah, I recommend
a strike.
Hillbilly Elegy by JD Vance. That was about 2016 or 17.
Oh, that far back. I was going to ask for a synopsis.
Well, it's the story of him growing up in the holler, in the not far from not far from Ohio. What would be below Ohio? Where's the holler? Kentucky, Virginia, right in there. Destitute, mother was an addict, the whole deal, and he somehow pulled himself through all of that. Became a Marine, fought in Iraq, went to Yale. The guy's, it's a great story. It's a great story. And now people are saying, well, yeah, but he was absolutely opposed to Trump. Well, we're going to play that whataboutism game the rest of our lives. Kamala Harris was opposed to Biden. So what are you going to do? In fact, the Star Tribune's lead editorial today, let me get the wording correct so I don't misspeak. The Star Tribune's lead editorial today was Trump picks political shapeshifter for VP, meaning JD Vance was once vehemently opposed to Trump, in a sense, not become vehemently opposed. Those editorial writers might have conveniently forgotten that Kamala Harris was a complete opposite of her hatred of Biden was, well, you know what it is? It's all political theater.
I'm seeing he went to Yale, not what did you say?
I said Yale.
You said Yale, yeah.
It did.
Okay, all right.
And his wife, an Indian, as in the country of India, she also went to Yale. All so right. He's come from zero to achieve quite a bit. I know John Heidt takes exception with me, but that's okay.
The only thing, Hillbilly Elegy, when we talked about that, I know people from his area of the world that he wrote about disagree with some of his conclusions. And basically, when you open the book, do this as an experiment, because I did. I read the book. I thought it was fine. Then I started seeing people say, well, gee, everybody in the book except him, is either a drug addict or welfare queen or et cetera, and he's the only one that could manage to pull himself up by the bootstraps. It started. I always read musicians. musicians from Appalachia were saying that, so that's how I started.
I guess how I would answer that is that it was his book.
Correct.
That might be a rural thing too. We all hate each other out here. You know that. But what we really hate are you people, and we will band together.
Yeah, right. That unifies you
I
guys.
understand that.
You guys
Who
the
are the
most.
you people? Who's you people?
Well, who do you see in the mirror every morning, Suits?
Cities.
That's who we hate. Yeah,
Cities.
you three. And the other one.
And the other one.
Up here on the weekends, tearing up our gravel road, wrecking our lake.
Women in our lakes, taking our women. The best line about the nomination was, "I hope JD Vance can be unburdened by what has been," because that's Kamala's catch. Are they going to debate? Do we know?
Probably, yeah. I would think so.
That will be fun.
Oh yes,
That's an unfair match.
No,
that's
it'll be
Tyson
fun.
versus Pee Wee
It
Herman.
really is.
Maybe not. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Well, I would watch it.
Yeah.
She's. I mean, what? Oh, whatever.
She's a shapeshifter.
Oh yeah.
Well, life plows on. The only thing I would add to the
Was he the betting favorite, by the way, Vance?
not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I would add to the attempted assassination, now that we're 72 hours out, is
You want this hat, the tinfoil, or you good?
no. I do find it curious, just curious, that we can't find one kernel of information on this shooter.
Weird.
No, I mean, you don't have to go down that road, but I am curious that not one kernel of information other than cliches and stereotypes.
Are they doing that to protect the family?
I don't know. We don't know anything. We don't know a damn thing about this shooter. Not a thing. Other than the typical things we hear invariably on all these tragedies. Well, he was a loner. He was picked on. He was bullied. That's all we know.
What should we know about a 20-year-old?
I would like to know what motivated him. We don't have a motive.
No manifesto.
Let's have a motive. Did he doesn't even have any writings that say, I think Trump's a bad guy, I'm going to go get him.
Yep.
Well, but something. Give me something. I'd like a motive. And maybe we're supposed to accept the idea that the motive was that he was the bullied loner, didn't have any friends. Okay, that still doesn't explain it.
Well, and especially
why would you go pick on Trump? Just shoot somebody else.
Especially in this day of age, it's 2024, where everybody's thoughts and opinions are available online everywhere. You would think at some point he would have expressed something, whether it's social media or what have you.
And then they talked to his employer, and the employer said, "Nah, it's all right.
Yeah,
Does an okay job. No big deal."
Completed his tasks.
Yeah.
It's almost as though his whole history's been wiped clean.
Isn't that weird?
Isn't that strange?
That's really weird.
Almost as though
you guys are going to join my team, whether you like it or not.
No, I'm not. But it's just strange. And then I have a number of emails from listeners who I was being too kind. I agree. I was being too kind to the female Secret Service agent who couldn't reholster her pistol. And, Sanibel Jim and others weighed in and said that was unacceptable. They're trained under the most extreme pressure. Yep. Well, my answer to that was, I bet she wasn't trained under the most extreme pressure.
I bet they weren't being shot at when they were being trained.
Well, my point is, she looks totally helpless and foolish.
I have to, if Sanibel Jim said it, I don't think I'm going to argue with him because of his history, obviously.
Did you guys see the video? I forgot to bring this up yesterday. There's a woman in a white shirt directly behind Trump, and she's visible.
She's Vavoom.
But you saw her right before Trump was shot.
Yeah.
And you saw it almost appeared as though, okay, I'm not trying to be crazy, but it almost appeared as though she was expecting something to happen.
You don't have to try to be crazy.
That's you're just flat out cray.
See, that's the natural inclination of what's happened to us because of our inability to accept things for what they are. If you begin to look at the audience of people, I could concoct a story for every one of them.
Well, like
everyone,
you and I were saying yesterday, Joe, we were focused on that weird looking dude with the hair and the funky hat, who, by the way, turned up at the RNC convention yesterday and was being interviewed.
He's a big Q guy. He's one of the guy who quote delivers the messages. The Q messages. That's why we know him. The other thing, though, to your point, about or Chris's point about the woman, it's just like you see video, or not video, they didn't have video then, but film of the JFK assassination. There are people who hear the shots and they're doing this. They're not running. They're not moving. I don't think it's an unnatural inclination just to act normal. That's what I thought when I saw her.
My brother pointed that woman out to me. He too is intrigued.
I knew I liked him.
Well, but I'm not intrigued because, again, when you want to play that game is wide open to play. There's many directions you can go. So again, there are two ways to view this. One, it is what it is. Some crackpot came and decided he was going to take a shot at Trump, killed another guy, or you accept the fact that it was a conspiracy, in which case your work will never be done. Your work will never be done.
And we know, maybe sometimes you don't realize it, when it comes to your family, they're messing with you, Such. So take that to heart.
What are you talking
Especially
about?
your brothers.
Right.
Oh, well.
They do like to get you going.
Yeah. So maybe he was just,
well, if he was trying to get me going on that, it didn't work because I just think she was a gal sitting there.
Here's the thought, though, that keeps coming. Why aren't we allowed to ask all of these questions?
Well, to what end?
Joe, the former president was almost assassinated.
Right. But so asking about that woman accomplishes what?
An explanation. You just said yourself a few minutes ago. We don't know anything more today than we knew yesterday.
But it's totally your interpretation of her that proves to be somewhat meaningless.
Okay. Forget the one woman. I'm saying
zero in on the one woman. Of all the people sitting there, she was as interesting as anybody else.
You guys there's not a sliver of doubt in any of your minds about any of this?
Not with me. There's not.
Yeah, there's with me, but it goes the other way. I want to come up with the conspiracy theory from the other way, just so that Chris
go ahead. Go
then you must have been able to convince yourself that Trump would sign up for something in which he could be killed.
See, that was sarcasm. I don't really think.
I don't think you guys realize
that argument.
Did John just set the hook again?
Yeah, of course he did. You goobers.
Boy, I clopped on it.
I did too.
Yeah. Chopped right down on it like a
John, you and I should do a show together. I don't know what we'd call it. I don't know, grabby something.
I said this yesterday. I'll say it again today. He is a threat to the third rail, right? We're all in agreement there.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
Although
he wants back on it pretty bad.
Well, sure. But he's anti-establishment. That's
which is pretty ironic given his supposed business stature.
Yeah, I don't know that he is anti-establishment. He might.
I mean, remember the famous answer he gave about taxes? He was proud of paying as little as possible.
Well, as he should be.
Right, because he was essentially saying, you morons wrote these rules.
Yeah. Yeah, and that resonated.
I'm taking advantage of them.
Probably because he uses Linda Keller.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That resonated with the working class of America.
And again, black people are the ones having a great deal of fun with Trump.
He's a gangster.
Great deal of fun with Trump.
Please tell me, I can't play it because it's littered with cuss words, but there's two brothers talking about the Trump and how he raised it's hysterical. You guys.
Yeah.
Oh, he's straight up thug. It's fantastic. You guys have to find it. It's fantastic.
And we're also learning, if social media was only devoted to humor, it would be a wonderful thing. Because there's so much. What we're learning is
noted.
What?
It used to be fun.
But
Some
it's not
people
fun to
still are.
read
It's
this.
a cesspool.
It's not fun to read the insidious, dark, evil, bull stuff.
Right.
But what we're discovering is there's a lot of people who really can do great Trump imitations.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just tons of people.
Yeah.
And what I learned from watching all these Trump imitations, you got to get some gravel in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a difference.
When a lot of them are putting the bandage on the ear now, too.
Oh,
when they do
God,
that.
it's just amazing. This year's going to grow back better than ever. It's a beautiful ear.
You almost did Sid doing Trump.
I know. I'm doing Sid, for God's sakes. Oh, it's a beautiful ear.
Yes.
Here's today's sports hero, my ear. Say, we're going to lose Walls for a while.
Oh, no.
Well, he and state economic leaders are inviting Minnesota businesses to join them on a trip to Europe this fall. So, somebody offered Walsey a free ticket, so he's going to go. The governor and the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development are organizing a trade mission to the Netherlands and Ireland in November. They wish to grow Minnesota's exports of goods and services, showcasing the state as a top destination for business investment. Why? They'll just tax the living crap out of you. Developing new partnership opportunities and strengthening existing ties. About 35 businesses and organizations in technology, food, agriculture, environmental technology, and higher education. Higher education. So you're admitting finally it's a business, huh? The failed academy is an industry. I guess we're seeing some sort of obscure admission to that here. Anyway, Walsey's going with him, and I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Sailboat, I hope, in order to, Mama Earth, environment, warming, etc.
Do we get back to business as usual today? I was reading in the Sahan Journal how many Somalis really like Trump. You wouldn't have automatically arrived at that conclusion, would you?
Is there a main topic?
Yeah, they believe a man is a man and a woman is a woman.
Oh.
They don't like the fact that schools are prompting more the Somali parents don't like the LGBTQ PWMBC stuff. And with Trump, apparently they see someone who is a straight shooter when it comes to that. And I'm reading about a fellow named Salman Fikwi, who arrived to Minnesota in January 2009 when Barack Obama took office. He was 19 at the time. I wasn't a conservative then, he said. I was a Democrat. That has changed for him. This Sahan Journal has some neat stuff. They found this guy. He obtained a biology degree from U of M Mankato, pursued a career in medical consulting, started a family. By the time Trump was president, Salman was a 35-year-old Burnsville resident and had become conservative. He believes this trend is gaining traction in his community. That's because of two things, he argues. Somalis in Minnesota are becoming increasingly middle class. Yeah, with stolen money. I'm kidding. Hey. I'm kidding. Increasingly middle class, and as Muslims have always been culturally conservative, many Muslim voters are also fed up with Democrats taking their votes for granted. They pimp our vote without giving us anything back, he said of Democrats. If you speak to the Muslim community now, they say, this time I can try conservative. That's his story isn't unusual. A day after Biden's much maligned performance in the June 27 debate, several East African patrons at the 24 Somali Mall in South Minneapolis expressed support and enthusiasm for Trump. Many voters are willing to look past Trump's previous anti-Muslim rhetoric and temporary ban on travel from 6 Muslim-majority countries, including Somalia. Immigration from Somalia dropped during Trump's administration. The U.S. went from granting 1,797 visas to immigrants from Somalia in 2016 to 464 in 2019. I used to vote Democrat, said Maulid Duale, a truck and Uber driver who was supporting Trump. But all the issues have changed, everything. The idea that voters of color are abandoning Democrats in favor of Republican candidates is a familiar narrative. Political scientists, this trend is accurate, but they offer caveats. All right. I just find it interesting that the Somali people who have attempted to embrace America and work and raise a family and are not weaponizing corruption, they're coming to the realization that what the hell have Democrats ever done for us?
What does that remind you of? Us.
Yeah. Yeah. You mean normal, hardworking American people who are saying, why does my gas cost so much? And why am I being forced to consider an electric car? And what is this? What's going on here? What's the deal?
Hey.
Here's another guy. We're going to the 5-star barbershop now inside the 24 Somali Mall. Now, see, this is a good idea. I don't think the two Twin Cities newspapers have bothered to go over to the Somali Mall and take out the notebook and say, hey, Yazgar, what do you think here? You voting for Trump? They went to the mall. They went to the mall and they went to the owner of the 5-star barbershop, Yassine Ali. He lamented slow business at the shop on the day they were there. Look at this barbershop, Yassine said. It used to be full. Right now it's empty. There's just one person here. Business is slow for the past few years. And Yassin blames the Biden administration. Well, that's a new one. We're blaming the Biden administration for the lack of barbershop customers, but maybe it translates into less money in a guy's pocket to go get a haircut. I will vote for Trump because of the economy, Yassine said. 2 times I voted Democrat. This will be my first time voting Republican. I want another person in office. Sadiq Harisi, a 26-year-old truck driver, is also planning to vote for Trump. Sadiq said business has gone down, gas prices have spiked, and that's hurting his bottom line. The cost of living in Minnesota, he said, has gotten too high for his family. He plans to move to Texas. Trump is good for business, Sadiq said. Sadiq opposes spending U.S. dollars to support Israel in its war against Hamas and to Ukraine in the ongoing war with Russia. Biden is spending billions on wars, he said. War wasn't as crazy when Trump was president. He's also not persuaded by arguments that Trump's harsh rhetoric on topics of immigration amounts to racism. They convinced me for the first time when he was running that Trump was a racist and he hates us, Sadiq said. Actually, Democrats are bad for the country. Can I get an amen from this guy?
You need an amen.
I mean, what the hell?
Are we allowed to do that?
I've been telling black people for 30 years that Democrats have never done you a favor. Ever.